Hello, Sunny Bonani. Sunny Bonani, welcome back to another episode of Thenjiwe comedy. Guys, it's Asikhulume. Let's talk as requested. We are today talking about breadwinners. Are you a breadwinner? Do you have a breadwinner at home? And what can you tell us about breadwinners, especially in an African home? Statistics show us that in a lot of homes, it is now women or females are the breadwinners, the girl child. They are the breadwinners. And there's always that problem where we have to decide where to end, being a breadwinner because of ubuntu or being a breadwinner because of black tax. So that is the conversation today. That is what we are going to be talking about today. As you come in, please do let me know where you are watching us from, and and let me know if you are a breadwinner, because this is our conversation. It is not my conversation. We will all be participating because we need to come with solutions if we do not want things to not change, guys. History cannot keep repeating itself. A lot of, excuse me, sorry. So yeah, please do make sure that you let me know where you are watching us from, and do also let me know if you are a breadwinner or if you have a breadwinner at home. We all know we're always making these jokes about breadwinners at home, or about the things they do. Let me just share some of the breadwinner jokes that we all know. There's the one about a breadwinner ebuya emsebenzini sekuphela imeshe nabafana, and then tells the family ukuthi icela ukubuka ama-highlights because imeshe idlale bese emsebenzini, so they have to repeat the match bamdlalele. And we all know that there are breadwinners who are very, very tough. You have to know that there's a breadwinner in this family. You know who's the breadwinner. Umuntu ushaye i-remote, athi uyishayelani i-remote, uthi ngoba ayisebenzi, athi wena njengoba ungasebenzi ngeke ngikushaye yini. So do tell me your breadwinner stories. Do tell me the breadwinners, njengoba kuyisebusika nje abanye bayakhala ukuthi i-breadwinner ivalele ihithe ekamereni layo, ithi abangasebenzi abothe umlilo we-big nas. So do let me know about your breadwinners. And also, guys, I want you to join the conversation. Let us talk about it. And let me just send you the link so that you can join me. Let us talk about the conversation, especially if you are a breadwinner. I would like to hear from you, because what I see happening, especially amongst my friends and some family members, is that people work so hard empilo yabo yonke to try and repay monakalo eyenziwa abazali, monakalo eyenziwa obaba. Uthola ukuthi your parents didn't have a house or didn't have a home. You must build it wena ngoba wena osebenzeka ekhaya, ngoba wena ofundile. Uthola ukuthi mhlawumbe i-breadwinner only has one child, but inodadewabo abaney'ngane. Kuthiwe yindaba ingane yakho ifunde e-private school, ezabanye iy'ngane zibe yifunda la elokishini. You're not being fair. Uthola ukuthi sekufanele ucompromise manje ukuthi mhlawumbe zonke iy'ngane zifunde, let's say, emakhaladini or emandiyeni, ngoba uwena oyikhokhelayo zo-7 ley'ngane la egcekeni. So where do we cross the line? Siqeda nini? Because when you look ukuthi abazali njengoba bethi nje kuma-breadwinner sakufundisa la ekhaya, or wena onenhlanhla la ekhaya osebenzayo, but bona they didn't do the same for their own parents. Does it mean your children as a breadwinner also have to grow up nabo bakhele wena umuzi? Your children also have to grow up nabo bafundisa abafowabo, because their mother, instead of saving and investing, spend all their money paying for abazali bakhe and making sure ukuthi family yakhe, the siblings, the parents, are sorted. So where does it end? And also, if you are in a relationship with a breadwinner, do press the link and let us join the conversation. Here is the link again. Hi Zamo, please press the link. Here's the link. Please press the link and join us. Your people in the diaspora, I know all your problems and being breadwinners at home. Sometimes they don't even know the conditions you live under. They don't even know if you are legal in the country where you live. They are only concerned about you being overseas and having to send them money at home. So let us talk about these things. What's you, Oprah Winfrey? Your cup must be full before telelabanye. You must not pour from an empty cup. And as a black child, are you pouring from an empty cup or are you pouring from a cup esigcwele? And ayikho into ebuhlungu njengokushada hey boy, SB, how are you? So mushade ne-breadwinner, uyazazi inkinga zakhona. We've got one person who is joining us, Onika. Let us welcome her ngolukhulu uthando. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I am good. Ukuphi, Onika, where are you?
Great. I'm in Joburg. Great topic, Thenjiwe. I know you're from Philadelphia, by the way. But I used to live in Washington, D.C. So, yeah, yes, the topic is it's quite real, hey? I always tease and say that our parents thought that having kids was their retirement plan. Abantwana bazongibheka, my children will take care of me. But I mean, that was, they invested in their kids so the kids can take care of them. But somewhere in the middle there, I feel that, we were given better to do better, but our siblings had the same thing. So I'm a little bitter because I feel like my siblings had the same opportunities that I had. So that they didn't use them well should not now mean that I must now, be put in this position of forever taking care of them. Because then now what it means is that I'm continuing the cycle. I'm not saving enough for my retirement because I'm busy making sure that their kids have good education, that ekaya gabugega, after a while you have to renovate, you have to put a shower and all these things. So it really worries me that we need to link this to the fact that this is part of the reason why we are not breaking the cycle of poverty. Because generational wealth, I think is transition. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We are, I used to call it black love, but instead of black tax, because I say, I'm doing it because I want to help. But I think now I'm realizing that we've also created a monster. Hey, we've created a problem and entitlement that we might not be able to sustain long term, and it's not realistic which we can sustain it long term also.
That's the problem that I find. I do believe it is very important, especially to help your family. We come from very disadvantaged backgrounds, but where does it end?
Yeah.
When does it stop? Because you cannot take your siblings to school and then take their children to school.
Yeah. No, actually, that's precisely my story. So I lived in the US for 24 years. I came back about 6 years ago and thinking, okay, I'm in my 40s. I've put everybody through education. They should be able to be on their own and I can come and restart a different life. And then I found myself now, I mean, literally, I only had one child. So your introduction resonated so well with me. I only have one child. She's 23 and on her own, graduated from Stellenbosch. But then I'm here on lockdown with an 8-year-old, teaching her, providing a tutor during the day for him, and a 13-year-old, as well. So no grade 6, no grade 3 in the house. When I only had one child, and I'm done technically with that one child, but I'm now paying for a tutor so that during lockdown, these kids have Wi-Fi, these kids have a way to go to school. So it's really, and now I justify it by saying that I don't want my daughter to grow up with cousins who resent her.
Yes.
So I have to help these kids so that she is not also burdened in the future with the same, but I'm not I'm not convinced that that's exactly, going to be the case. She might still find herself needing to help her cousins.
It becomes a big problem. We've got another fellow South African lady, Uzamo Misi, who is joining us out in Gimfage. Hey, Zamo.
Hello, Ninjani.
Siyaphila, how are you?
I'm good.
So what do you say about this topic of breadwinners, especially in an African home?
Hey, Tina, we grew up being told, Guti, you have to help others. If when I saw so basically with me, I didn't feel like I don't want to say being abused because it's not, but I didn't feel like there's anything wrong with that. The only issue comes when now you obviously have some like dreams. You have to do certain things for yourself personally. So in that way, then you have to be splitted between I have this 100 rand. So in this 100 rand, what do I do with it? Gains and Jan give. And you get kaya of 50, fala no 50, but remember at this stage you're not even staying at home. I really wish I could stay at home even longer because I would know, okay, if nalo 50 ngimali transport kuphela and then sizoshare ke le enye ke, well, my dreams will have to wait. But in the stage now la uhlala khona uyarenda. Now the same things you do for your family, it's the same things you have to do for yourself. So it becomes a problem. So that's why it becomes really a big issue because now you don't know if you should say, guys, you must wait. Then again, you know the situation at home. You really are aware of the situation at home. If you send the 5 rand or the 10 rand, very should have nothing,
But
you get
when you say they will have nothing, but they had things before you started working.
It's true.
You grew up, they had food when you were growing up. Suddenly you are working, they no longer have anything unless you are there.
Do things for them. I don't know. My case is actually a bit different because nobody ever said to me, hey, in my case, it was a situation of like my mother was not working anymore, my father was not working anymore. I started working in high school. Pick and Pay. I remember my first salary. I don't even call it salary. It was the wages because I was still doing it part time. But the only thing I was thinking of, first thing, I'm gonna buy this for my family. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And guess what? Next week, I don't have transport money.
Wow.
But you know what happened, Zamo, when it comes to that? I think, Onika, you will agree with me. We're all excited. We want to do things for our family. But is that some sort of blackmail? Because when you look at what your mother did for her mother and what she expects you to do for her, is there also some sort of blackmail for us to immediately think of that open window, to immediately think of putting tiles on the floor before we think of ourselves? We've got 2 more guests outing Bangenisa, and we're here with Batini. Nomalanga, hello. And Sisnom, thank you so much. Okay.
Hi guys. Hi.
Hi, Nomalanga, Ujani. Nomalanga. Okay, I think I will singene Sisnom, sir. Sisnom, how are you?
Ngiyaphila ninjani mantombazana?
Yo,
ngizonbiza.
Siyaphila kakhulu. Ngicela usho ukuthi wena luthini uvo lwakho about being breadwinners. When does it start? When does it stop?
I think it depends on the parents. And enye into mina ngokuya ngami, like bengilalele konje ubani usisi ngapha. Angisakhumbula, but one of the guests there, Uzamo makathi mawunemali uno 100 rand ucabanga ukuthi hey ithi ngishare i-50 ngiyise ekhaya, i-50 ngisale nayo. Thina ngokwethu, we let our relatives relax. They get relaxed as soon as they see ukuthi, okay, whenever Sithi sidinga lokhu, she does it, and she always thinks for us. They relax. Even nabasebenzayo, they decide ukuthi, oh, khona, she'll do it. You know, one of my friends used to say, obe nathi la, wayethi mawuye ekhaya bazi ukuthi uyeza. As soon as you land at the airport, they start getting rid of everything. Bachitha impuphu, bachitha ushukela, bafihla okunye. Bayazi ukuthi uyeza. Mawufika ekhaya, there's nothing, because they take an advantage. They seem to take an advantage. So it doesn't stop unless when you put your foot down. When as a human being, it's not that you are neglecting them, but you are trying to make them take irresponsibility, because they also need to be responsible. Like Bobuza Thenjiwe ukuthi, all along ungakasebenzi, they used to have money, food, endlini, they used to buy impuphu, but all of a sudden ngoba sekusebenza wena imali yokuthenga impuphu abasenayo, which is not fair. Yinto esipressurize abantwana bethu ngayo, so uyarelaxa manje each and every time kunento oyidingayo, so ufonela ingane, hayi ngicela ungifakele so much. You must take your responsibility. Indaba ukuthi parents never saved money sakhula. They decide, bazitshela, mina bengazi about my parents, mina obaba wayengitshela ukuthi ngufundisela ukuthi mawukhula uzongisebenzela. Well, that was the old man mentality. So if nathi sibavumela, they will never stop. It doesn't stop. It starts as soon as uqala ukusebenza, then it starts. And then you put the situation in that situation, wena ngokwakho ngokuthi uvume. You should do something and relax at a bit. Don't do every time when uyenza. Makunemisebenzi ukhipha imali uyathenga. So abanye bayagodla abanye bathi awukhona uzosenzela. So I think mina ngokuya ngami ngombono wami, it depends on an individual. Akusho ukuthi ifamily yakho uyayineglect mawungayenzeli. And abanye abazali, they expect ukuthi ubeloke no 4-room house enikhulele kuyi. Manje ngoba nakusuyasebenza, use-expect ukuthi umakhele indlu enkulu. Why ufanele umakhele indlu enkulu engazange aplane yena ukuthi nami ngifuna ukuba nendlu enkulu ukuthi abantwana bami babe nespace? It's up to you as an individual ukuthi okay, ngiyasebenza and I'm earning good money. Let me just extend, maybe ngenze indlu yasekhaya ibukeke. Because sinaleyo nto yokuba namahloni ngamakhaya ethu ukuthi hey abantu bazothi. And the other thing, we are pressurized by the society, because society izothi oh ubuya overseas kodwa bheka kubo is still a 4-room house, and we like pleasing the society engasenzeli lutho. At the end of the day, you are in debt, they are laughing at you. They are the very people who will be laughing at you. They never say, oh, we should have told you ukuthi ungayenzi lento. Ngoba manje you are in debt, sebeyakuhleka bamele lapha. Yeah, they are very good at doing that.
Thank you so much. Uthwala Ngambi uthi, how do you deal with the guilt of feeling like you are not doing enough, especially when people back home don't know the limits of your financial situation, which is a big problem, especially with Africans, not just South Africans, Africans in the diaspora, because they assume we are all making a lot of money and they don't even know your legal status in the country. They don't know the situations that you are facing just for your day-to-day living. They don't know your living conditions. They're busy telling you, all the houses now have this kind of windows. We're the only one with that window, but they don't even know whether you sleep on the floor. And if I can ask every breadwinner manager to say, has anyone that you financially support called you to ask, how are you doing during lockdown? And to ask, do you still even have your job during lockdown? As we know, people are losing jobs. How are you doing? And do you still have your job? But if you usually put money at home on the 1st, they have your number on the 3rd, because they're going to call and say how the money didn't go through, what happened. So, ngicela ukuza, Onika, what do you say to this question, Yatwala? It's how do you deal with the guilt of feeling like you are not doing enough, especially when people back home don't know the limits of your financial situation?
Yeah. So, you know, that used to actually be my story. I started to pay for my siblings' schooling while I was a student myself, getting a stipend from a scholarship overseas. And you know, a stipend is not a lot of money, but I literally had bad credit, you know. So because I was paying bills and sending money home first before paying the bills of where I am. Until one time I came to visit and somebody said, Sis Notlantla, you must learn ukhala nabakhalayo. You know, when you come and visit and people are crying, hey, so, you must learn ukhala nabakhalayo. And that actually happened because I came home and an uncle had passed away. Bakhala bathakna luto. I spent so much money on the funeral. Ne? So a few days after the funeral, I went to the house to just see with Paseli Ganjan after umngcwabo. Kwangena ifridge yeSamsung, kwangena i-dishwasher ne-washing machine nombhedo omusha. You see, so these people actually had policies. They just chose not to use the money because mina benkhona, and you know, I was willing to pay. So since then, I think that I've learned to be very honest with my family. Even now during lockdown, I have a nephew who wants these Puma Tekis 2000. Under normal circumstances, that particular nephew, I would buy for him because he is an excellent student and like uyangichaza in terms of the way ezimisele ngakhona esikolweni. But I had to say to him, listen, I would love to get you these techies, but uyabona ukuthi isimo se-economy sinjani right now. Ngicela ukuthi silinde because you may need to change schools based on how we manage lockdown and whether your school opens or not, because I don't want to find yourself having to repeat. So let's just wait. But we have to learn to be honest with our family. It's not easy because, I mean, you get names, right? I was told, stingy, stingy guy below, or whatever. So, but it's okay. I can deal with that than being broke, you know, while I actually have the resources.
It is difficult, especially when it comes to being broke. Ngiyakubona, Sis Nomsa, I am coming to you. I just wanna ngifuna ukudedela uLindo kuhle Mgenge angene sizwe from a man's point of view ukuthi yena njengomuntu wesilisa uthini, then I'll come straight to you, Sis Nomsa. Lindo kuhle, unjani? Lindo kuhle? Lindo? Okay, we are losing uLindo kuhle. I'm sure uzophinda sijoyine. Abantu besilisa sicela bangene nabo sizwe because this is not just a women's conversation. Sisinomsa.
Okay, ngifuna ukuza kule point lika ubani noNhlanhla ngithi. Yeah. Ngifuna ukuza kule point lika Nhlanhlo lokuthi uNhlanhlo yena ngokwakhe she put herself in the situation for the fact ukuthi umenshina into yokuthi from SSA student she started doing things for her family. No wonder they are calling her ukuthi ustingy because bajwayele, they just relaxed bezitshela ukuthi hayi uyeza uzosenzela awuzwe nje ukuthi after the funeral kungena ama fridge. They didn't even have the decency yokuthi they can wait for her to go away and then lezinto kube khona zifikayo. No, they didn't. They just showed her ukuthi thina besinama policies simfakile kuma policies, so there's payout that has come. So it's a bit too late for you Nhlanhlo ukuthi decide ukuthi you need to be strict, because I was listening to you before ngena la. I was listening to you talking about ukuthi you've got your own child who has finished esikolweni angithi she has got her degree, but now busy you are teaching other people's kids because uzitshela ukuthi you feel guilty when ngokwakho you put yourself in the guilt section yokuthi if ngingabayenzeli my daughter is going to suffer because they are going to hate her. No, it's their own problems. You didn't ask for them to come to this world. They were brought by their parents. Sometimes you need to be cruel to be kind. You can't be busy when anjalo you are at that end yokuthi kufanele usafari. Sometimes wenza into ukuthi uyabona ngempela ukuthi isimo sami siyabheda ngempela kuyabheda, but because you want to continue, and banjani, they like guilt tripping you. Ama-families, they like guilt tripping you. Bazakwenza ukuthi u feel guilty. Kukuthi there's nothing wrong oyenzile, but they will make sure ukuthi you feel guilty. That is why you end up keep imali yakho, buy things. Right now you're talking about your nephew. Is it your nephew or niece who wants trainers? Okay, you can buy those trainers on condition unayo imali, but not because you are obliged. It's not your obligation ukuthi kufanele umthengele nakanjani. It doesn't matter ukuthi he's good at school when uperforma kahle. Do things out of your own. When mawufila ukuthi I want to do this, appreciate it, to show ukuthi I'm appreciate ukuthi ufunda kahle, uziphethe kahle. You just give him as a present. He doesn't have to ask for anything from you. You are not his mother. You are his aunt. You help him wherever there's a need. But a continuation. I'll come to another point. Like sihlala overseas, we like buying stuff for our family members. Hey, bona le trainer, hey, outing thengela usibani outing. And sometimes ama families zethu makhulu asifani nabelungu. We've got big families. So you'll buy and buy and buy only to find that maybe you've missed one or two. Have you seen the way they react laba bangethengelwanga? You become a bad person. It's as if manje usayini contract ukuthi nakanjani kufanele mawuye ekhaya uyumphathele something, which is wrong. They should appreciate. And into engicasulayo, like uThenjiwe besho, nobody will call you athi hey unjani njengoba kuyile lockdown. Right now, mina, I for one, I'm working as a nurse. Because I'm an agency, I'm not working, I'm at home. But they don't understand that. They still want to get something. And again, I've decided to be firm. I told them, I won't send you anything. And to add on something about we being guilt tripped by our families, my daughter has got quite a few cousins. So there's this one who used to really ask for money each and every time she sends a message. Hey, can you send me money? My daughter or my son is not well. She's the one who is having kids. My daughter doesn't have a kid because she wants to focus on her life, her career first before ezawuba nomntwana. Yena, she's got two already. And then umntwana mayigula, she'll be sending messages to my daughter ukuthi ngifakele imali. So one time my daughter was at home visiting. Oh my goodness. Eish. Sorry guys, there was a call. So my daughter was on holiday. So being on holiday, oh goodness me, Loba. We are insist. I'll go out after finishing. Okay. So ngifuna ukuqedelela nje this story. So my daughter sat down with her cousins and explained to them the situation. Ukuthi uphila siphi. Ebabalela everything, which I've got bills to pay. I've got a rent to pay. I've got council tax. I've got water. I've got electricity. There's gas. There's my insurance for the car. You know, all those things. They were like, wow, you pay for so many things. She said, yes, that's what I'm paying for. So do you expect me ukuthi ngizawuhlala nginemali ngoba naku I'm overseas? It doesn't grow on the trees. I work hard. Ngivuka ekuseni. Sometimes ngihamba kune-snow ngiye emsebenzini. So Nhlanhlo, lift your socks up, girl. You need to be strong. You need to be firm. I'm not saying be cruel, but be cruel to be kind. Okay, guys, I'll come back later.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sim Snom. So please do join us later. It is very important, Bella, so that we know where we stand. Because the main problem I find is that we end up allowing history to repeat itself, because our children now have to go through the same cycle because we are left with nothing. And sometimes when it comes to things like funerals, you'll find yourself using credit card money, using overdraft money, and people are not even aware. Yet they had insurance policies because they think, oh, usisi una imali, umzala una imali. So sometimes we have to work on our guilt as well, because for some reason we feel guilty in such a way that is very bad, because we end up neglecting ourselves and neglecting our own children. And that can also create hate, because if you build this nice big house for your family, you put everything, and what happens when you die? They can kick your children out. Oh, malume can easily say, "Akona ginlan," and it's real, akon. So do we build things that belong to us and then allow them to come and enjoy them with us, or do we build things for them and we end up with nothing? Of course, our financial strengths are not the same. If you have a stronger financial strength and you can afford yourself, you have everything that you need, then it's different than someone who has to decide, would say, okay, I'll have to buy brown bread, because if I buy white bread, then I can't buy my family bread. I can't buy a croissant, because if I buy a croissant, then I won't be able to buy my sister's children bread. And also, where do the basics stop? When they say help your family, am I doing enough if I'm just sending my children, my siblings' children to a 200 rand school? Or do I have to give them exactly what I'm giving my own child? Where does it stop?
Yeah, so I think for me, when it comes to that next generation, which is our kids, I am not willing to do anything beyond education related. So anything else outside of that, both my cell phone, whatever, it's usually because I want to, or I happen to have an extra phone and I'm willing to give. But I think when it comes to that next generation, I'm very clear, and I'm known as the aunt who only you go to her if it's education related, because I'm really keen on us breaking the cycle. I think that, for our parents, in a way, it made sense. I feel, I've studied this a little bit, in that when I was growing up, I stayed with my grandmother from Monday to Friday while my parents worked. And I only was with my parents on Friday, on the weekend, to see them. So it made sense for my parents to support their home, because that's where their children were growing up, right? But it's different for our generation. We've had to raise our kids, pay babysitters and all of that. So there really shouldn't be that need anymore. But how do we, help break that cycle? And I think for me, education is one where I've made an exception. I need to get better at, articulating exactly how far I'm willing to go as well. And it doesn't necessarily does it mean that because my child went to St. Mary's DSG, I'm going to send your child to St. Mary's DSG? Hell no. It was a struggle to send my child to St. Mary's DSG, So I'm going to at least send them to something decent. But I think that we need to, for me, I always say that getting out of the township, getting out of Soweto was an inspiration, right? Working hard so that I can upgrade myself and move out of the township and buy a car and all of that, that was an inspiration. So if this generation is given everything by the rich aunts, as they like to say, what's going to inspire them to work hard to improve their own situation? So we have to give them and still leave them with enough for them to aspire for more. So I'm not paying for DSTV. I'm not, I don't have a television in my home. So I just find it really odd when people ask me for DSTV. Even my own dad, he was like, hey, I want to get a DSTV. And I was like, Baba, it's 250. You can sort it out. And he does. And that's the thing that's weird, is that the people that we expect to want from us, like my father should technically want me to help him, are usually not the ones who burden us with that request. It's usually the extras, the uncles, the aunts, the one uncle. I have a relative who decided to buy a gym dress for an uncle who used to always remind her, "Ngakuthenga gym dress when I 1 year." So she went to Clip Down and bought the gym dress and gave it to him, because it just had become so ridiculous, the abuse, And it's usually those people. It's the ones who are external to even your immediate nuclear family that really, burden you with wanting to live like you without necessarily understanding what sacrifices we've made to live the life we live.
Or even willing to help you to live the life you live.
Yeah.
Because if you were to ask them, okay, because I'm having to help out at home, instead of me paying for your children to go to school, why don't you come and clean my house? Then instead of paying
never.
I'm paying you so you can pay for your own children. No, never.
Never.
Ubabukela hands.
Yeah.
Yo, Zamo, we haven't heard from you in a while. Asizu ukuthi uthini.
Sabotage and okay, so for me, I really concur with her. I'm always in I'm always in those kind of situations where you have to do certain things, but at some stage, as I was like building myself, I used to do lots of things for people. I mean, I remember my first international trip that I took. I went to Brazil. I was like a mad person because when I left to Brazil, I had only one suitcase, which was enough because I thought the other suitcase I'll buy myself things. I kid you not, I came back with 6 suitcases. 6 suitcases. And this was supposed to be my holiday for the first time as a girl from Guamachu. We are going holiday in Brazil. I mean, you should think of yourself. Out of all those things, I can tell you now that there's only 3 things I bought for myself. Out of the 6 suitcases, 3 things only that I bought for myself. Because now I was feeling how I've been buying this for this one. I'm coming from a very big family. From my mother's side, from my father's side, and Bazele, like there's so many things. All those suitcases, I even had plastics. I bought plastics. In this pack, it would be for this one. In this pack, and I'll write them outside. And I did that maybe for 2, 3, 4 more trips. But after that, I like started thinking like, okay, fine. I do all these things for these people. None of these people even care. Like I felt nobody even care about me. The only thing they care about was like, oh, what do you have? Oh, uspateleni or all that. But what about me? There's something very profound that my husband said one day. He said to his sister, he is from Congo. So he's giving. So he said to his sister one day, this sister wanted to open a business. He sent the money. And whenever he said he doesn't want me I'm umakoti, like I can't say don't do it. In fact, I will encourage him because I do for my family, right? So I said, okay, fine, give her. Okay, she did this business, it didn't work. The second one didn't work, and this time, and then we were in Congo for holidays. So we got there, we are happy. First of all, we have a house in Congo. This house, nobody stay in. But then we'll have to get somebody to clean now and again. And this sister is there. Never helped. Never even do anything to help us. And one day, just a day after we got there, and then she came and she's like, oh, my brother, how are you? I'm fine. And that business didn't work. Can you help me to do this other business? And my husband said to him, because I understand French a little bit. So he said to her, okay, I'm willing to give you not just what you want. I'm willing to give you more than double of what you want. There's only one condition. Just tell me 2 of my children's names. Just 2. I will give you. I kid you not, she didn't know. Her sister, blood sister, she didn't know. She's like, oh, the little one, oh, it was like that. And he said, you know what? As from now onwards, never ask me for anything because clearly you don't care about me. You care about what me, but me, I would say, I don't want anything from you. I don't want money. I don't want you to do anything. Just, she never did. And that's the day he decided, I will never. Even if you can learn those names now, but I will never because you don't care about me, you care about my mind. And it stopped there. I wish I have his guts. I wish I have his guts. I don't. I'm like one of those people who Nomsa is talking about. I mean, it's like, no, it's not like yasab. I just can't do it. I mean, I even say to people, like, they will know, you know what, something. I will take the last I have. And that's something that I have to learn to not to do. I will take the last. If I have 100 rand, I will give you 80 and I'll be left with 20 to suffer so that I can give a person. I'm like that bad. So the best thing I do, I stay away. I run away. I will keep quiet. You will call me and I'm like, I'll send a message. I'll call you back. Because then you'll know those people will always ask, right? Once they send a message, oh, hi comes with something. I will say, hi, how are you, sharp? And then I'll ignore. I'll call you when I'm done. I ignore. And that's not good. And sometimes you miss that person. You really miss that person. But you're picking up the call. You'll be listening to their problems. I also get to have problems. And at some stage, my business was not doing well at all. My mom used to take from her pension money and give me some of the money. It's like, he doesn't have money at all. She gets from pension. But she's like, even when I will have to visit home, I don't have money. And it's not like I don't have. But then you know what happens after. Umalume lo ufuna lokho, lokho ufuna lokho, lokho ufuna lokho. So I will come home, angigibelise iflight, uyazi ngigibela iflight, and he will take his pension, angigibelise iflight. Mefika lapha angibizele ekhoneni, hey njengoba uzile yazi kunomsebenzi kagogo wakho, me bamba la in case becela something, my mom. But like for her, because she knows how the family is. Luckily, my immediate family, my brothers, my sisters, they're fine. You know, that side is okay. But the other side, and then it starts like, oh, sometimes like most of the time, my cars, I'll keep them in my house in Palito, and then I'll use like your average car. Then it's okay. So job unemoto, that means you have to do something for us. One day I was telling Thenjiwe, I was saying, at some stage, I used to take money. I will have maybe, let's say, 1,000 rand. 1,000 rand, like I will make sure what I have, 5 rand, 10 rand. Because so I must just learn to do that. And why is it know? Because I know I have. They don't know, but I know I have. Then I'll end up giving people. I'm like, okay, the strategy now, that's all come with 1,000 rand must be divided into 5 rand, into 20 rand, into 10 rand. Hey, some of this, that we are banning guys. How? And you know what? Strange enough, they don't ask you for food. Abantu bangasekhaya awungishenge kotka beer lapho umntakasisi. Kotka beer, I know akunasingle la endlini, and I can see you need paint clearly, but no, study kotka beer. So I will have those 10 rand, money is 5 rand ingane sing logo. So it's crucial. No, I need to learn that. I think I'll be a multi-millionaire by now if I must just learn that.
Yeah, it is difficult because you end up not wanting to go home. End up usabuye ekhaya because awazi nokuhlafuna uchephisi, uhlafuna kanjani uchephisi ingane kaSibanibani inganayo ikhavela. Udla kanjani ice cream ingane kaSibanibani inganayo into ethile, whatever it is. And also when you notice a lot of people who live away from home, whether in Joburg or whether overseas, number one, when you go into a South African's house, like they can open 10 houses in the US or UK or wherever overseas, but show me a South African's house, boxes of things ready to be sent home. That's a telltale sign which a South African lives here. Boxes of things ready to be sent home. Not only are those things expensive here, especially given the exchange rate, they're also expensive to send. But when they get home, they're not appreciated. Boxes of things to get home. But when you do go home with those boxes and the extra suitcases you take, you will come back also. They will strip you naked with what you are wearing, Emanj. And they will still want the phone that you are using. So much so that people end up not going home as often as they can afford, because affording a ticket is not enough. You must also be able to go home. And then also it makes people underachieve, because whenever you go home, you end up having to use a credit card, coming back only to work to pay for all the money you spent when you were at home again. So it just keeps going around and around and around, and nobody ever sits you down and says, Mtanami, are you saving? Mtanami, I can see what you are doing for us. What have you got for yourself? What have you done for yourself? When are we going to have parents who are going to say, no, leave my room divider. Invite me when you've bought a stand in your house. I want to bring a makolwa to come and pray over your house that you will buy. And because we find ourselves not knowing, am I a girlfriend? Am I a wife? Mama? Am I a husband? Mom? And it becomes an expectation. It becomes an expectation. And if you are a child or you are younger, you are not involved in decision making. They remember then you are a child. You are just told dates and what's happening when I keep in mind. So, what do we do now? How did it get here? And how did it get here? Because our parents did not do the same thing for their parents.
Yeah. Hey, Yazi, this topic is really, it's heartbreaking at the same time. Like, Uzamo guti agagwaz guti no. Zamo, you'll have to learn to say no. people will take an advantage of you. Uyazi abantu bayakwazi ukukuyuza bakuyuze. Uyazi what annoys me is because uthi noma ubathengele lezinto, next time you go home isicathulo umuntu sinyathelile, hayibo, how can uyazi bengihleka lento ye-gym dress mawukhuluma ngento ye-gym dress. Yo, uyazi I remember when I started my training as a nurse, there was this girl. She was so quiet, introvert, engakhulumi. Uyazi ngathi the day ngizwa her story, my heart was so sore. This girl apparently ngathi wakhuliswa umalumekazi, umalume actually, umalume wakhe. Umalume wakhe wamisa esikolweni wafunda waze waqeda. But njengoba ebemisa esikolweni, there was a bill ukuthi wayibhala each and everything umalume emenzele yona. So during our training, njengoba ebe train, imali yakhe ubethi masihola leyo allowance nyana yethu ya nursing, she used to put money every day eyifakela lo malume, paying him back until azayosebenza. What noma esesebenza, she continued paying that malume back until she finished. So into yobu breadwinner, it doesn't affect you as ukuthi kusekhaya kuphela. Relatives are the worst. They are the worst. Uzumuntu ethi uyakhumbula ngakukhulisa nganguteta. So manguteta because I was young. Not because bophelekile. It's because I was young, so you were doing your part of duty yokuthi ungitete as a kid. But umuntu nje akubelesele njengoba ukhuluma ngalo we-gym dress ukuthi ngakuthengela i-gym dress ngakuthi wamlaya nje wamthengela lo gym dress akayigqoke ke i-gym dress yakhe. Hayibo, uyazi abantu yazi it's so painful into ye sibiza izolo Thenjiwe uyakhumbula we were talking about this thing ye black tax. In our culture, we don't call it black tax because sizitshela ukuthi senzela umndeni, but maso uyibheka kahle iba yiyo ngempela i-black tax. But because nje ibizwa ngegama elibi lokuthi black, uyazi black yonke into negative. So we don't want it to be called that way. Yiko nje ukuthi we are being abused by our families. They take an advantage, so much advantage. They'll take an advantage. Babona imoto yakho kufanele bayise 1 2 3 mayiphuka nobody's there ukuthi athi hayi bamba hamba othenga oil or ise for service, no one is there. Right now mina imoto zami ziphukile zonke ekhaya zonke, nobody's helping, and abantu bebezigibela they see them there, they won't say okay kushotani emotweni ithi siyilungisa, no one. But they expect umuntu uzawufuna ukuthi mawenze umsebenzi athi ngicela uzongilanda. Why kufanele ngulande boloku khona ukuza nginganamoto? Now all of a sudden so ufuna ngulande ngoba naku ngenze umsebenzi. If you want ukuze emsebenzini wami, come to my festive whatever feast. But if ungafuni hlala. My husband is the one who is like that. Uvela batshela ihlobo zakhe angibathatha advantage. Hayi siyazi, hayi ngilande mfo abosisi bakhe, hayi ngilande mfo. Avela athi okay ngizanilanda. Ngimbuze uzobalanda athi ngibalanda ngiyahlanya. Angibebe lokhu begibela ibhasi mabeza la bahlulwa yini ukuthi bagibela ibhasi abahlala. Siwenze nje umsebenzi uzuphele bengazange bafike. After that, hawu sakulinda. Hawu nangilinda hayi bengibambeke kakhulu. Just like that. Or sometimes he just gets straight to the point. Ababuza ukuthi nangilinda why ningazange nibamba ama-taxi, because ama-taxi akhona ezayo and ama-taxi amaningi anidropa line egeyidini kwami, so why ningakhonanga ukuthatha i-taxi? Okay ke benginganibhadalela i-taxi makukuthi aninamali yokubhadala, beyizathi mayifika in-drop nginibhadalela. Sekunokuthi manje ngiyeke izinto kufanele ngizenze la ekhaya ngoba ngiyolanda nini. There's nothing important abayenzayo. They just want to be collected. Bahamba bephethe amabheke ezinyama, baphethe ini yonke into. They take grocery yakho bayayithatha, usale unganalutho. Hayi man, mina understand abantu bakithi. Yes, I don't understand them. My daughter received a message from one of worst part of it is half sister, is stepdaughter Sam, sending her a list of what she wants. She's not even asking, she wants. She's sending a list yamabheg, ufuna bo Burberry, ufuna icathulo abo bani bani, abo KG, ufuna zonke. Umntana uyangibonisa mama, awubhek, mina lezi zinto anginazo lo muntu athi ngimthumele zona. Mina anginazo, I'm not even interested in buying them because they don't mean a thing for me. I mean, I'm trying to save ukuthi ngibe na something. Yena ungitshela ngokuthi kumuntu omunye kumayethi ungithengele iperfume i-Chanel 5. It's my favorite, yes. Ngiyayithanda. Oh my good. Yes, my God, yes, lento yento kanje ye abuse ngokuba i-breadwinner. Noma ungasi breadwinner, but as long as hard work, my daughter is not a breadwinner. She's the youngest. She's my second born. I've got a son, the eldest. But my daughter is more responsible than my son. We understand because of the situation. I don't blame my son because now he has his problems. We understand. And the other thing, my son, you will never hear my son phoning me or sending a message, which Mama ngicela ungithumele imali. He will never. I'm the only one who thinks good I've got grandkids because I can die for my grandkids. I love them. So I make sure ukuthi ngiyabuza barayithi abantwana ngizokufakela imali uhambe uyobathengela 1 2 3. Each and every time I send money, I say it's for my grandkids, not for you. Wena ngikukhulisile, wena uzobona ukuthi uphuma kanjani. We understand. But he will never, noma ngabe in a dire strait, ngeke azangifonela athi mama ngicela ungifakele imali because akasasebenzi. He was made redundant emsebenzini. So I am the one who thinks ukuthi hey, umntana makasasebenzi uphelele umsebenzi, let me help him. But he never takes an advantage of that. Like ulona abeshu ukuthi uzamo abeshu ukuthi uzamo noma uNhlanhlo angisakhumbuli othe ubabakhe uNhlanhlo athi ubabakhe doesn't ask for anything, but abantu abacelayo abantu bangaphandle the immediate relatives yibo abazathi hey awusangifakeli ini awusangithengeli izicathulo. I'll buy those mangifuna, hayi ngoba kukuthi uyangicela. Just be respectful. Ungangiceli, I'll do it mina mangifuna. And nobody should blame me if ngimthe. And they've got a nerve yokuthi umthengele into ayigxeke. Akutshela ukuthi hayi yazi bengithanda iCrockett and Jones. Who are you to choose? You are a beggar. You can't choose. You are a beggar. That's it. It's period. Kufanele nje bazi. People, let's not let these people take an advantage of us. Zamo, I'm ngipointa kuwe kakhulu. Yekela ukuthi kudlalwe ngawe kulokuthiwa uloku change 2000 rands ngoba ufuna ukuthi mabathi hey inhlanhlo shota ngempuphu so yakhipha bambani hayi abantwana nayi imoto ice cream nayo they'll take an advantage bayazi awunemali lo muntu each and every time she jumps. When you say jump she says how high. No, it's wrong. You need to be firm. And labantu laba basimoshela nemishado kwesinye isikhathi because our partners will complain hayibo wena kanti ifamily yakho uyayibona leyo nto and ifamily yakho now uzo complain ukuthi hayi phela ifamily yami, but at the end of the day ifamily yakho is destroying you. It's really destroying you.
That is so true. Uthi uNqobani usahleka indaba ye gym dress. Uthi the gym dress example reminds me of an aunt who always reminds me that she used to wash me when I had a broken hand. I had to draw the line. As Onika said, it is abuse. Hey, we always get reminded when you were 2 months old, ngakukhatha wacishe wafa. Athi uthwala ngambi, so true Ngobani Mzizi. There's always that one auntie that is quick to remind you that she did what she did for you when you were younger. And they always remind you what they did. And it's never something as significant. And what I notice in our families as well, there's always that uncle who's got a lot of money, but who doesn't give anyone any money. They get the most respect. Everyone respects them. Everyone fears them, but they are hard to approach, but everyone knows they have money. But when now you must just say no, and the mood changes. Even if you come and visit and you come empty-handed, the mood changes. Why have you not brought anything for us? It becomes like it's something you have to do. Pierre, Zamo, I was like you, manguya pesheya, manje ngiyabadayisela. Oh, so many have tried to buy dayisela wePierre and they will never buy. If you are selling it, they don't like it. If it's free, they like it. If you are selling it high, they don't like it. It's not even their type. It's so difficult. Thank you. I've been feeling obliged to do things for my siblings. Till this year, I decided, hell no, it's enough. Thank you. It does become very, very different. I mean, very, very difficult because we have to be responsible. We have to help them. But kugcinaphi and for how long? And how much do you do? Like right now, everyone in the whole world, the same problem I'm having, Obama is having. We are in lockdown. And some of us are in lockdown having to pay rent. Some have to pay mortgages. Some have to pay rent where they work and mortgages wherever they've bought a home. Nobody is asking you where you are. And in some instances, I know stories of people who will go home, give them money. Here's your 1,000, here's your 4,000, and then realize, oh my God, maybe my credit card is not working and it's Friday. I can only go to the bank on Monday, or I can only sort it out once I get back overseas. And ask the same people, from the money I gave you, can you each give me 500 rand? They won't. From the money I gave you, can you help me with 500 rand? They do not. Yes, Onika.
Yeah, so another really bad habit that irks me is when you say to someone, oh, I don't have, for me, there's some who will come and borrow, but you usually know, right, they are not going to pay it, or they're going to stop talking to you if you insist on wanting your money back. But another bad habit I observed was when people start saying to me, oh, it's not like only 1,000 rand, and then manga, it's like $100 must go. And so I'm like, wow, that's so offensive. So my rule now is that if you don't have dollars in your wallet, you don't get to ask me about anything that's dollar priced. Because what's your basis point for having a conversation with me about $20 when you've never charged $20 when? But because it's a way of minimizing the amount that you are going to give to them, but the reality of it is that this, I would never go to a restaurant and spend $100, for example. But it's easy here to spend 1,000 rands at a restaurant. It's not the same market, but they'll do that. So now during lockdown, when the first lockdown happened, the banks were stayed open, but Forex closed. So we couldn't send money out or receive money. So the first month the lockdown, I didn't get my salary. So remember, we locked down before E30. And so I didn't get my salary. So, and I was very transparent. I'm like, listen, I didn't get my salary. It's not that I didn't get paid. It's at the bank, but I don't have a way of transferring it to rands to be able to access it. I'm telling you, there was one person who sent me exchange rate every day. Yeah, what's up? Exchange rate is this now. Exchange rate is this. I mean, it was so offensive, Thenjiwe, because so this was end of March, right? By end of April, when I finally was able to transact through a banker, it had been since February that I got a salary. But nobody really adjusted their behavior during that time. They still had an expectation that you have money, and all the exchange rate, when they see the exchange rate, then they send me a message like I'm supposed to somehow, be a Forex trader or something. I don't know. But I think that we have a lot of work to do around money conversations with our families. I recently decided to have a conversation with my dad about his house because I find myself investing a lot of money in fixing the house because he's not well and I want him to be comfortable. I don't want him falling, trying to get into a bathtub and all of that. And so I finally just had to say to him, can we just talk about this house, because I'm going north of 100K fixing this house. And so when you are not here, what happens? I'm not a boy also. I mean, there's that reality with our families, right? That the boy will be favored. Now, the boy actually asked me that, oh, you are fixing the bathroom, I can get you a quotation. And so my response was, Gugini Lana, you can't give me a quotation. So even though I know you can do the work, I'm not going to hire and pay you to do the work, because this is your home. You should be doing it. Plus, you live here. So it would be benefiting you as well. So I think that we need to find a way to have these conversations with our families. We need to find a way for our families to be comfortable with the concept of a will, a concept of a trust, putting the home in a trust, because it's just not sustainable. I mean, I just don't see us continuously doing this. And because ultimately also the people who end up winning these family houses, they lose them, because they've never known what it is to maintain a home. They lose them literally within the first 3-5 years that they are given a home. Most of those people lose the house, through whatever means, but they find a way to lose it. So why not figure out a way for us to have these conversations with our families, so that our parents are transparent? They don't play this favorites nonsense. I proposed to my dad. I said, listen, please put the house, let's set up a trust. We put the house in a trust for the grandkids, and you put conditions that they can't sell until the youngest one is 21 or something of that sort. That way you can skip this generation, because you know what? Usile. This generation, you invested in us. There is no reason why any of us should not be able to take care of themselves. So put the house in a trust for your grandchildren, and be transparent and be clear about maintenance and those kinds of things. And I think that that's really where we are. I mean, most people feel like that's an African, but I think, that's honestly where we are. The African way is still there, but right now we are not talking about culture or tradition. We're talking about property, and we need to have a conversation the same way we would have a conversation about any property, even if it's a family home.
When you talk about, it means we do not talk about what happens when the parents or the main owners are gone. It's a very deep conversations that we need to have, because because of our rates. And you find that the girl child, especially the girl child, there are boys as well who do it, who are responsible breadwinners. But you find that the person who's invested in the house is not even listed, but they still expect you to be the one. Even your children will not even be listed. But nobody even questions, do you have a home of your own that you will live for your children? Maybe you are living in an apartment maybe you live overseas, and you say, because you're saying it's difficult to get work, come overseas, I'll buy you a ticket. No, oh, wait, do you know how cold it is overseas? Have you not seen snow? Wait, I'm not going there. Oh, it's boring there. Or sometimes we bring them, they don't last a month because they find it boring, or they say, I can never do the jobs that you guys are doing, or they miss their friends or their boyfriends, or they tell you, I can never leave my child. Only to find that the person who's a breadwinner who lives overseas has left their child or children back home. But they will tell you, I can never leave my child. Or they will say, no, I can't live in a country illegally. No, I'm worried. But the person who's supporting them is living illegally in a country in order to give them a better life. If you try to start a business for them, a business that you start for someone else, it just doesn't go anywhere. So where does it go? Actually, on Saturday, I'm going to be having a lawyer friend, cousin of mine. We're going to be talking about the importance of our wills. Will, black people, let us write wills. Do not wait until you have stage 8 year cancer. Do not wait until the bus is 6 hey, before you call the ambulance, can I write a will? No. Let us know what to do, and let us also tell our children, Uguti, if anything happens to me, go to Metropolitan, because a lot of our money remains unclaimed. Because when we are gone, nobody knows. Ukuthi besenzani, siyafihla. Umuntu ungcwatshwa ngesikweletu kanti ubekhokhela uAfgop impilo yakhe yonke. So we need to talk about those things. But let us talk about, how do you approach the issue of telling the parents, ukuthi you want vested interest in the house. Because I have a friend who was in a similar situation, and it was considered very un-African. You ladies will tell me what you think. So they found themselves in a situation where the family house was going to be repossessed. The parents had done well during their working life. They were living in the suburbs, but Ubaba did some horrible, bad choices in investment. So the house was about to be repossessed. She and her husband bailed them out by buying the house. But when they bought it, they put it on their name. They said, we are buying it. You can continue to live here for life, but now it belongs to us. The family thought that was unethical and that was un-African. If you are helping your parents, why does the house now have to be on your name and your husband's name? You should just help them without expecting to now own the house. What do you say in such situations? If I am investing 500,000 in building umuzwa sekhaya wodaga, am I being unfair if I say I want it in my name so that it can continue to go to my children should anything happen to me?
So, Mina, I feel that situation is a different stroke for different folks. Other people would do it and like, it's okay. I can give you the house, I can pay for you. But in the case of other people, if I go to the bank and borrow money to be able to save you, and obviously it has to be in my name or my husband or both of me and my husband, because at the end of the day, I'm paying this debt. So it has to be in my name. You can continue staying in the house. It's okay. But as I say, it depends on people. If you feel you have enough, you can afford to pay that money, let those people stay there without you staying or without the house being in your name. It's ulungile, akunankinga. I mean, this situation depends on people. In my case, I would say, okay, fine. If I have the money and I want to bail them out or to help them out, let the people stay there. But let it, because the fact that the house was about to be repossessed, you were going to be homeless. And I'm helping you to be able to have a house. And I'm not even saying I want to move in and kick you out. You stay in the house. Let me, as a responsible person, and bond and make sure what is paid for. No man I mean, I don't think I should be able to say to you, okay, I paid it and then it's in your name. It's another thing if you decide later on once you finish paying for it. Okay, do I keep it in my name or do I register with someone? But now you have to look at how responsible the person is. You can't just, give out the house like that. That's my take on that one.
Thank you so much. Zamo. So this is what you think of that. This is such an interesting conversation. I wish we could go on and on and on, but we have to go and listen to the president as he's addressing the nation. So we're going to have to say our last 2 cents, and then we move and we go and respect number one of the country and see where do we stand. Are we going back to level 5 or are we going to level 2? Sis Nomsa, what do you say, especially with the point of if I am building a house for you, I want it in my name and it must be my children's inheritance. You can live here for life, but it will be in my name. If you can no longer afford to pay your taxes and your rates and your bills, and you want me to do it, let us have a legal agreement that I will have a share after you are gone.
Okay. I mean, I agree with that. That is a very, very wise decision. For me, now, because I live in the township in the Val Triangle, there's a place called Everton, which is full of stands, very massive stands. I've seen people losing his stand. Families fight. Bayalwa. And uthola ukuthi sigcina sidliwe istand, even the houses that are in there, because there was no person who is legally baphethe nje i-title deed, but because they are fighting, no one came up decide ukuthi bahlangane as a family benze 1, 2, 3. So mina, I feel it's safer. That is a very safe option. It's right to do that. You can buy a house for your parents. I mean, those are your parents. You love them. But to protect yourself and your kids at the end, when your parents are gone, it's correct. the house is supposed to be in your name. Olwayo it's their own problem. Uzofanele ayithenge ke if ebona ukuthi mina I'm doing the wrong thing. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Onika, uthini wena ngalapho?
Yeah, no, definitely. I totally concur with that. I mean, technically, you've bought the house. It is your house. You know, in the US, they actually have something called reverse mortgage, where when you are too old and you think you are struggling, you basically have the bank do what they call a reverse mortgage, where the bank now owns the house, but you have a right to live in it until you die. And then when you die, the bank owns the house. So basically, that's a transaction that you just did. The difference is that the bank is you as opposed to an institution. So you've given them a reverse mortgage where they get to enjoy the house without having to pay for it. And you are, waiting to take over the ownership. And I'm so glad you are doing something about wills, because that's a really difficult subject with the generation of our parents. For us to have that conversation with them. But it's very important, because we have seen also in the township now, especially in Soweto, there's a lot of people coming from sometimes other countries where they buy the houses to build the multi-story for student housing, right? So we are finding that not only is it just another family moving in and taking over your home, our homes are now changing also the topography of the township. You go to my dad's house, shame, back opposite, 4-story, next door, those big windows are just there. They're blocking the sun because nobody is following regulation as well. So it's really important for us to, reclaim our homes, reclaim our townships, and just really have honest, and it all comes down to money. We must have honest conversations. We've had Nyaupe boys selling it a 4-room house for 50,000 rands, and the family finding out after it had been bought to somebody who has already started to build in it. These things are real and they actually happen. So, and they happen largely because we refuse to have these conversations. Siyasaba, I think, not what we refuse, but siyasaba, we just really are not used to questioning our parents about money or talking about them dying as if we are anticipating or waiting for it.
Yeah.
What an interesting conversation. I really wish we had a lot of time. I think we're going to revisit this conversation at another time. We need to revisit it because there's so much to unpack. But tomorrow we will be talking about when to start educating our children about finances so that they do not repeat the mistakes that we made. When we get to tertiary institutions, Idolo will tell you now qualify to open a card. And banks will tell you qualify for a credit card. So by the time you graduate, you're already in debt because of that jean you bought from Edgar's, because of that T-shirt you bought that was in fashion when you were in first year. When do we start conversing with our children about finances? When do we teach them about savings? When do we start also saving for them so that we can help them when they start working, at least pay a deposit for their first apartment, so that we can at least help them with their first cars and things like that. So tomorrow, and we will be having Mimi, Cultured by Mimi, we've had her on the channel before, and she will be sharing some of the things that she finds that as Black people we do not do, that they do as white people when it comes to teaching their children independence. But do not always be dependent, be independent, and also especially we'll be focusing on the girl child. As Black people, abelungu bathi we focus too much on teaching our children about cleaning the house. And then we find a CEO with a very clean office but a very empty bank account because we didn't teach them about money. We taught them about cleaning the house. You can always hire a maid. You do not hire someone ozokutshela ngemali. If kupete usamncane, kupete usamdala. So we will see you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. as we will be talking about finances with us and our children so that we do not repeat into eyenzeka kuthina sibhayize ngemali. Because first 10 years of the professional Black child, so see waste imali singazi nokuthi senzani, because nobody ever told us about imali. And for a lot of us, we are the first ones to have the money we have in our families. We have no one ozosikhulumela. Ngicela sivalelise ladies. Angiqale ngawe Onika, sivalelise siphume siye kwi-president.
Thank you very much for having me in this conversation. Awesome.
Thank you so much. Zamo.
Hey, thank you so much. Thanks for this conversation. And can we just have it again next time, please?
Need to have these conversations, guys. Asikhulume. Sis Nomsa.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu mantombazane. Let's have more of such conversations in future, and we need to continue on this one because ayikapheleli. It still has a lot. So thank you so much. It was nice talking to you girls. Zamo, be strong. And you, Nhlanhlo.